Hello, I'm Beck. Welcome to my channel. Today I'll be drawing a D&D character based on the roll of the dice. Let's bring out the Tower of Destiny! Now we have a Kalashtar Druid, and Kalashtar are, for the sake of drawing, they look very much like a human because they are officially described as a compound race created from the union of humanity and renegade spirits from the realm of dreams. Kalashtar are often seen as wise, spiritual people with great compassion for others, but there is an unmistakable alien quality to the Kalashtar as they are haunted by the conflicts of their otherworldly spirits. Every Kalashtar has a connection to Spirit of Light, a bond shared by other members of their bloodline. Kalashtar appear human, but their spiritual connection affects them in a variety of ways. Kalashtar have symmetrical, slightly angular features, and their eyes often glow when they are focused or expressing strong emotions. They can't directly communicate with their ancestral spirit, but they might experience this relationship in a sense of instinct and inspiration, drawing on memories from the spirit when they dream. The bond to the spirit can cause some Kalashtar to display unusual quirks, and there is a table of unusual quirks you can roll. When I rolled mine, I didn't record it of course, but I got a 9, which means this one is driven by a warrior spirit and will to fight for any noble cause. The Kalashtar have special traits including dual mind, where you have advantage on all your wisdom saving throws, mental discipline, where you have resistance to psychic damage, mind link, you can speak telepathically to any creature you can see, provided the creature is within a number of feet of you equal to 10 times your level. You don't need to share a language with the creature for it to understand your telepathic utterances, but the creature must be able to understand at least one language. There are some more details on that one, but I'll move on to another trait called Severed from Dreams. Kalashtar sleep, but they don't connect to the plane of dreams as other creatures do. Instead, their minds draw from the memories of their otherworldly spirit while they sleep. As such, you are immune to spells and other magical effects that require you to dream, like the spell Dream, but not to spells and other magical effects that put you to sleep, like the spell Sleep. I decided, because of this connection to dreaming and sleeping and this otherworldly being situation, that as a druid, the best subclass to choose would be Circle of the Moon. So let's sort of backtrack into what a druid is. They are usually protectors of natural areas. Officially, it's whether calling on elemental forces of nature or emulating the creatures of the animal world. Druids are an embodiment of nature's resilience, cunning, and fury. They claim no mastery over nature, instead they see themselves as extensions of nature's indomitable will. So the main thing that you might know about a druid, if you've been watching any D&D shows or if you play D&D, is that druids can turn into animals. That's their kind of defining feature in terms of magical ability. And that offers a lot of freedom in terms of sort of being creative with how you enter combat or do sneaky things or basically everything. It makes you into a bit of a Swiss Army knife in terms of whether you're a fighter or a magic user or a healer. You can do a little bit of everything. So it's very near and dear to my heart. The first character I ever played was a druid and I really, really enjoyed it. So that was fun. And as with every class, there are subclasses where you can kind of specialize and choose a branch of that class. For Druid, they're called druid circles, and there are a few. There's Circle of Spores, Circle of Stars, Circle of the Land, Circle of the Moon, and Circle of Wildfire. Now, Circle of the Moon is described as druids of the Circle of the Moon are fierce guardians of the wild, which again, when I rolled that Kalashtar trait dice, it had me as like being a warrior, so this is another reason I chose Circle of the Moon. Their order gathers under the full moon to share news and trade warnings. They haunt the deepest part of the wilderness, where they might go for weeks on end before crossing paths with another humanoid creature, let alone another druid. Changeable as the moon, a druid of this circle might prowl as a great cat one night, soar over the treetops as an eagle the next day, and crash through the undergrowth in bear form to drive off a trespassing monster. The wild is in this druid's blood. So yeah, you get a lot of cool stuff. I'm not going to read out every description for all the traits because it does take a while, but you get Combat Wild Shape, which starts at 2nd level, Circle Forms, Primal Strike, Circle Forms again, which I believe makes you more powerful at doing it, and Elemental Wild Shape and 1000 Forms. I'm going to read that one. By 14th level, you have learned to use magic to alter your physical form in more subtle ways. You can cast the Alter Self spell at will. So yeah, that's a lot of fun. And just in general, druids, I know bards are usually known for being the like crazy, charismatic, doing the ridiculous sort of roleplay stuff beings, but I think that druids really have the capacity to be the craziest character in the group, because where everyone else might be problem solving to try and get out of a jail cell or something, a druid can just like turn into a rat or a spider and be like, okay, bye. And that's that. So yeah, lots of fun. Druids are awesome. Now, looking at the abilities here, we can see that this character, who I'm going to call Betty, has the highest stat in dexterity, which I think would come from her need to move around the forest very stealthily. She needs to be very, very quiet and needs to be able to go over dry branches and dry leaves and rocks and climbing trees and all this sort of stuff without making a sound, without alerting anyone to her presence, because while she's guarding the forest, she needs to be able to spy on anything to make sure that it's behaving itself and not causing the forest any harm. And especially if she's hunting someone and that someone has really high perception, she needs to be able to beat that. She needs to be much better at any predatory thing entering her forest that, she needs to not be seen. You get it. Her strength, though, is less than average with -1, as is her constitution. So I think she's grown up in this forest and she's very used to getting a full night's sleep, especially if it means she gets to visit these dreams where she remembers memories of her spiritual connection to this dream spirit. I think she's not used to making herself weary in that way of staying up late, or maybe staying up during the day. She might be a nocturnal hunter. But yeah, she doesn't have the highest constitution and she also doesn't have the highest strength. So she's used to using her dexterity to get around obstacles rather than like pushing a boulder aside. That would kind of count as changing something in the forest that doesn't need to be changed just for selfish reasons. So she would be far more used to leaving her surroundings as they are and putting herself in the position of negotiating around things. She hasn't really needed to be that strong. And because she's not that big, even climbing doesn't require that much strength. It's more of an athletics thing, I think, for her. Athletics? That's dexterity, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. With her wisdom, we have just average, and her intelligence, again, average. She's not particularly bookish, but she also doesn't have a poor memory. And she's not particularly great at reading people and knowing if someone is lying, but she's also not like completely absent. Like, she can pick up on the body languages whether people mean harm or don't mean harm, but if they were to lie to her face, I don't think she'd be able to tell the difference. And charisma being one of her higher stats, I don't think she's the charming kind. I think she certainly is the intimidating kind. And I think a lot of her charismatic ability comes from the way she holds herself and behaves. So often she'll behave like a wild creature, even though she is essentially a human. And that obviously puts people on guard, or makes people afraid of, like, even though she's not huge, what she might do to hurt them. So they'll be more likely to comply with what she wants them to do, just based on her crazy factor. With regard to why she would join a an adventuring party. I guess you could join a party with the express desire to hunt someone or something. Perhaps it was too large, or maybe like it's an army, so too many people for her to fight on her own, and she needs to join up with an adventuring party and take them on with a team, or even join up with an adventuring party who has a similar goal of taking down this army by going to the leader, like the king or queen or whatever. Whoever is leading this army needs to be taken out, and that requires more skills than just a humble druid can bring on her own. So I think that obviously when you are a guardian of the forest, the main call to action that you would need in order to leave your forest is that something is threatening the forest that you can't deal with while you stay there. You need to leave the forest in order to protect the forest. And that's obviously risky because you're leaving it unprotected, so it'd have to be something pretty big and something very important. A little bit like in the D&D movie, the druid in that one, she was trying to stop the king or whoever from fully decimating the forest. There'd been severe deforestation. They were basically wiping out the whole forest, and there was nothing she could do about it while she stayed within the confines of the woods. And you get it. If you threaten the forest, you're going to make the guardians come out and fight you, and sometimes they are but human, and so they need a little bit of help from an adventuring party. And perhaps this forest has some treasures that she might even offer to pay. If you have a rogue or someone who's not inclined to help for any other reason than gold, it could be a case of there's ancient relics in the forest, but it could also be a case of like this leader, this warmongering, this person who's destroying the forest. They have a lot of gold, and Betty's not interested in gold, so she would be happy to forego her share of the gold, provided that this threat to her forest is neutralized. So yeah, I think that would be a great call to action, a good campaign for your group to play. And this is Betty, the Kalashtar Druid. What do you guys think of her? Do you think I captured the Kalashtar-ness of her well? They said that they get glowing eyes, and that was basically the only difference between a Kalashtar and a human, so I really wanted to emphasize the glowing eyes. And obviously being a druid, I made her a little bit animalistic as well, but I didn't want to just draw an animal because then it's not a Kalashtar human type person, is it? It's an animal. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will catch you next time. Bye!